All right, Big Ten quarterback grades in week 2. Got my specs on. It's 1 a.m. We're ready to do this thing, okay? So let's get into it. We have all the Big Ten week 2 quarterback stats, grades, everything. We're all thought out here for you. Let's go to Drew Allar first. He's really the one I want to look at. First, what you saw from the game was not super impressive. We're going to see what we get here. So Drew Allar was the only one that played in this game, did not see a backup. He got sacked twice. He made 0 big time throws, which, if you don't know what those are, according to PFF, big time throw is a pass with excellent ball location and timing, generally thrown further down the field or into a tighter window. So that pretty much just like a throw they really excelled at and really did a good job with. Drew Allar did not have a great day. He struggled a lot, 19 of 33 passing on the day, 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, really was saved by a 42-yard pass to Devontae Ross, who caught it. And I know some people were talking about how amazing the pass was. He did underthrow him, and I do think that sometimes people don't always realize that underthrows like that are meant to happen, but it wasn't the most impressive throw in the world. And I would say the same thing about Julian Sayin's throw that he had to Carnell Tate in week 1. So let's be consistent here. It was a good throw. He did the right thing. And Devontae Ross is probably the one that needs to get more credit than anything because he was the one that went up and got it. But overall in this game, Drew Allar, I mean, he overthought throws. He was inconsistent. 1 of 5 to start the game. 10 of 18 in the first half. He missed routine plays like a bubble throw to Nicholas Singleton that landed incomplete. It just absolutely killed the momentum there in the first half. Credit to him. And then they came out in the second half and looked better. But this, I'm not down on Drew Allar by any means, but this game does not give me a whole lot of confidence in him, especially at looking at the stats. We could go even deeper here and look at the pressure and stuff. He threw 4 balls downfield. Those are 20-yard throws or more, and he only completed one of them. The one was to the Devontae Ross, and then he was only under pressure 5 times on his dropback. So it wasn't even like FIU was just putting him under pressure a bunch or anything. So they did run play action, but he did not excel in that. No play action. Really, he just could not throw the deep ball in this game. The medium, the 10 to 19 yard passes, he did pretty well there. But overall, this was a struggle for Drew Allar. We're gonna give him a C plus for this one. You know, it wasn't bad, but it was a struggle, and there's definitely areas that they need to look at moving forward here. So let's finish up with Drew Allar there. Let's get to Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin. Let's go. They played Grambling State. Where in the world is Ohio State? There we go. Let's go to Julian Sayin. All right, so Julian Sayin. Oh, let me go to the passing first. Here we go. Julian Sayin dropped back 19 times, 18 attempts, 17 completions in the game. That's good for about 94% completion percentage, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception. So Julian Sayin does throw the interception here. Not a single ball hit the ground. Good for him. But the interception was not great. He did not really display enough arm strength. And going against a team like Grambling State, I mean, it's got to be a really bad throw to throw an interception. But overall, I mean, this was a fantastic game for Julian Sayin. 18 of 19 passes for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns, all in the first half. He set a school record with 16 straight completions to start the game, including a 47-yard TD pass to Will Kazmarek over the middle, and then an 87-yard TD pass to Jeremiah Smith on the first play of a drive. Now, again, that pass to Jeremiah Smith was a little underthrown, but I mean, he was so wide open that it was just your job to get the ball to him. So, but Julian Sayin, he throws a nice ball. The way it spins, and you can tell sometimes by watching the TV tape who throws a nice ball. When you can tell from the TV tape that he throws a nice ball, That's special. And you hear the guys raving about it, the wide receivers and everything else talking about just how nice of a ball it is, how cleanly it comes into your hand, how tight the spiral is. Julian Sayin, he's the man, and as long as he doesn't get rattled with the pressure, which he doesn't seem to be, he did well against Texas. He's going to be the man for these guys, the Buckeyes. So threw one interception in the red zone. Like I said, it ended his perfect streak. I might be a little too harsh here. He did set a record, but at the same time, you can't throw an interception to Grambling State. So I'm going to be harsh here. I'm not going to get the Buckeye Homer label or anything here. We're going to give Julian Sayin an A-. All right. Would have been an A+ if he had not had, well, I don't know if I don't give A+ really to like FCS school games. Jaden Mayava got an A+ last week, but that was against Missouri State, which is not an FCS school. All right, make sure you know that because USC does not play FCS schools. All right, let's move on to let's go to Oregon. We're gonna hit the big names here because Oregon throttled Mike Gundy and nearly put him into retirement all on their own. Dante Moore completed 16 of 21 passes for 266 yards and 3 touchdowns, plus an 11-yard rushing touchdown. Showed poise with a calm and lofted TD pass to Evan Bryant in the end zone and on 3rd and 2 from the 11-yard line. I liked what I saw from Dante Moore in this one. I really love Will Stein's offense and what he's able to do with these quarterbacks. It's not always the most exciting thing in the world, but in games like this against Oklahoma State, it was exciting. The big plays were fun. So he was limited to one more drive after halftime due to the blowout, but no major errors noted. I mean, there was no lack of efficiency or anything like that in this performance. Just a really, really well put together performance, and he got the backups in there rather early against the Power 4 team. So you know the team is going to appreciate that one. So let's go on over to the pressure and the depth. He threw 3 balls, 20-plus yards, completed 2 of them over the medium. I mean, this is what you get from Will Stein's offense, right? They're never going to be throwing the ball, chucking it deep every single time. They're going to throw it every now and then, but for the most part, I mean, it's screens and it's 10 yards or less, and you let your playmakers make it happen. Right now, Oregon has good playmakers on the outside, but the thing that sets them apart right now is how invested all those playmakers are in blocking and working for one another. As soon as that ball is caught, boom, somebody is getting a block and helping them get their way to the end zone. And it's a really, really cool thing to see. It's really selfless, and it's not something you always see from wide receiver room. So I really appreciate that from Oregon. And that's helping, that is helping Dante Moore's stats here even more. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to knock him for it because he's the one finding them. And his guys are making plays, so I'm not going to knock him for it. So Dante Moore, good game here. Don't really have a whole lot to go against him. I gave him an A. Honestly, I might need to do an A+. I'll think about it. I might need to do an A+ here. But yeah, great game for Dante Moore. I don't know if there's anything he really could have done any better. Let me know if you have any comments on anything he could have done better. He did have a few incompletions there, but I'm not going to hold him too strong to that one. Okay, let's move on to Bryce Underwood. Yikes. Loss for Bryce Underwood and the boys in Norman, Oklahoma. Bryce did not fare so well in the PFF grades. He was 9 of 24 for 142 yards, connected on a 44-yard deep shot to Donovan McCauley on the line to get them to the 33, to Oklahoma's 33 in the third quarter. But overall in this game, he struggled with accuracy, 38% completion percentage, but also his wide receivers struggled too. So I think, honestly, it was more the wide receivers struggling. No Marlon Klein in this game than it was on Bryce Underwood. So my grade is not going to reflect poorly on Bryce Underwood. It's going to take that into account, but also look into the fact that he just didn't have any help in this one, and that's really, really unfortunate. He did overthrow McCauley 10 yards into a deep shot that was nearly intercepted, contributed to stalled drives and shutout overall in the fourth quarter. Just not a great day for Bryce Underwood here. He did try to throw the ball deep a little bit, trying to throw the ball over the middle, but this is a Brent Venables defense, and you're on the road. That's a lot to ask of your freshman, just turned 18 quarterback to be able to do that. He was terrible under pressure. He was terrible when he was blitzed. This is all indications of a freshman quarterback, and this is all the type of stuff that Zach and I were saying, to the Michigan fans when they were talking about how the offense is going to be so much better. Yeah, the offense is going to be better in certain spots because you have a supreme talent at quarterback. Bryce Underwood's going to be the best quarterback in the nation at some point during his career, whether it's junior year or sophomore year, whatever it may be. He's going to be the most talented quarterback in the nation at some point. I truly do believe that. But he just doesn't have the weapons around him right now. So Sherrone Moore needs to get on that. He needs to make that happen. For Bryce Underwood, I gave him a C. All right, let's move on to let's talk about my favorite quarterback in the Big Ten right now. That is Jaden Mayava. Oh my gosh, I love Jaden Mayava. All right, he was 16 of 24. 412 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had an ADOT of 11, an adjusted completion percentage of 74%, which is just a little bit higher than what he had before. Not sacked in this game, and he was pressured a little bit, but not sacked at all in this game. Great game by Jaden Mayava. Threw a 62-yard touchdown to Makai Lemon, who slipped 2 tackles and a 74-yard TD to Lemon, who blew past the defense. Really, 100? I think he has like 150 yards after the catch, leads the Big Ten right now. That's always going to help the quarterback out. The team did commit some penalties in this game, and that extended opponents' drives early on, but Maiava's personal performance was absolutely elite. No interceptions or anything like that. You could argue for an A+ here in this game from him, but only one big time throw on PFF. It was just a really, really good performance. Not something I would call perfect. I'm not going to give him an A+ for it, especially with the opponent there. Hard to give A+ against inferior opponents like this. But, hey, man, you gave it to Clay Helton. Did a great job. I'm going to give Jaden Mayava here an A. Love watching this dude play. All right, let's get to you Hoosiers. All right, let's get to the Fernando Mendoza. All right, here we go. Got it right here. All right, pull it up. He completed 18 of his 25 passes for 200. Gosh, I'm yawning because it's 1 a.m. For 245 yards and 4 touchdowns. He overcame some early rust to deliver really efficient throws, including multiple scoring strikes in a 56-9 win over Kennesaw State. He slightly overthrew a scrambled pass at one point for a potential first down. Receivers were plagued by drop in the first half, limiting bigger gains. And, of course, in the second half, that's when they started to really pull away, and Mendoza was able to make things happen. So, great grades here for both Fernando and Alberto Mendoza. You got the brothers on the team here. But overall, they did exactly what they were supposed to do. Yeah, they did exactly what they were supposed to do against this Kennesaw State team. Not going to give them anything, not going to give them an A+ because you come in and you do what you're supposed to do. But I'll give them an A- here. I did not have the best QBR in the world, some of that because of some of the early stuff with the first downs and stuff. But I mean, you look at the drops. There was one drop in this game. I think there may have been 2. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think it may have been 2. But he didn't take a sack. So overall, really good game from Fernando Mendoza. I'm giving him an A-. Honestly, I would not argue with you too much if you wanted to give him an A or anything like that. So, all right, let's get to Dylan Raiola. Oh boy, Nebraska fans. You want me to give him an F? Nebraska fans don't like my rankings or my gradings. Yeah, Nebraska fans, They were going through it last week when I did my grades here because they did not like my grade of Dylan Raiola. Well, good news here, Nebraska fans. You're going to like my grade this week. A for Dylan Raiola. Much better week. Akron sucks, but Dylan Raiola does not, and especially in this one. He threw for a career-high 364 yards and 4 touchdowns, set a school record with 20 consecutive completions, including a 4-yard TD to Emmett Johnson in the corner of the end zone. He did have some early red zone struggles, inefficient plays inside the 10-yard line, including a fumble before a TD. Dylan Raiola, he's got to get some of that stuff figured out, but overall, I mean, he is just benefiting so much more from Dana Holgorsen. This game was really good to see. If you go to the adjusted completion percentage, he had a nearly 81% adjusted completion percentage there. Did have one drop by his guys, one big time throw, but overall, I liked what I saw from Dylan Raiola in this game. Going to give him an A, and Nebraska fans, you can breathe easy now, all right? I do not, in fact, hate your team. In fact, I talk good about your team all the time. So, all right, let's move on. And I know not all Nebraska fans are doing that. It's the hypothetical ones from Twitter that I'm talking to right now that had such a hard time with my ranking last week. All right, let's get to Deon Williams Jr. I also love Deon Williams Jr. It's something about these West Coast quarterbacks. I just love me a West Coast quarterback. All right. Completed 16 of 25 passes for 254 yards and a touchdown. Plus, he got 64 rushing yards and 1 TD through a 47-yard TD pop pass to Desmond Roebuck, who juked multiple defenders. He didn't get credit for that one, but at the end of the day, it's more Roebacks, working on it there. So he did have limited possessions. But he maintained a clean performance throughout. That's why you don't really see any huge numbers here. But what he was asked to do, I felt like he did it all really well. Jonah Coleman rushed for 5 touchdowns in this game. So I'm not gonna be down on Deon Williams because he was only asked to do so much, and he performed what they asked him to do against a bad FCS team. I don't know if they're bad. They're an FCS team, so they're bad compared to Big Ten. So 70-10 in this one. Deon Williams was a big part of it. I'll give Deon Williams an A in this game. All right, man, I love these Big Ten QBs. Give me Luke Altmyer. Luke Altmyer, man. I love Luke Altmyer. I love that he came back from being, facing the blitz and having a hard time in the first half. Boy, did he come back and respond. Completed 22 of his 31 passes for 296 yards. For 296 yards and 3 touchdowns. He scored a touchdown with a little bit over 9 minutes left in the third quarter to take a 21-13 lead, which really sparked Illinois to start getting more of those points and really pulling ahead in this game. He was sacked 4 times in the first half by aggressive blitzes, requiring his adjustment to pull away. I normally don't give guys who were sacked 4 times an A, but I love the way he adjusted. I love the way Illinois adjusted. And I do think there's an aspect of forgiveness for some of these plays if you correct it and if you ultimately go on and just completely pants Duke and win the game. There were aspects of this game where Luke Altmyer was making NFL type of throws. I was talking to Zach about this on the live show, but there were some NFL-like throws that he was making in this game. Let's go look at this passing chart he had. So he's only 2 of 7 over the middle, but on the sides of the hash, he was 2 for 3 on the left side and 2 of 2 on the right side. You really love to see that those throws over the middle work better for him, but they did work better just 10 yards and under. It was when you got over 10 yards when he really struggled there, going 2 for 7 between 10 and 20 yards. But then he did end up going 1 for 1 on the over 20 yards there as well. So sorry guys, like I said, 1 a.m. yawning a little bit. So I'm not gonna ding Luke Altmyer for the sacks because he corrected it, and also some of it may have been more on the offensive line than on him. But I also think it's a QB stat in some ways too, because you're the one in control of when you get the ball out, number one. And number two, you also need to be checking at the line of scrimmage, helping your offensive line and the pass protection and everything else. All right, let's get to Drake Lindsey. All right, Drake Lindsey did not play a whole lot in this one. Probably not going to have a whole lot of comments here, but Drake Lindsey completed 8 of 9 passes for 139 yards and a touchdown. Showed really good pocket presence, decision making, and limited action before he was eventually sidelined. Well, he got a headset. I shouldn't say sideline. It makes it sound like he's got injured, but he got a headset and was on the sideline for the rest of the game. Faced a very weak defense, limiting the value. Very limited in what they could do, but you still got to give credit where credit is due here. Minnesota absolutely obliterated this team, and that's what really good football teams do. They face inferior opponents, and they absolutely obliterate them. So congratulations to Minnesota here, wins 66-0. Drake Lindsey was not asked to be in the game all that long, but for what he was asked to be in there for, he did a good job. So I'll give Drake Lindsey an A in this one. All right. Do we have to talk about him? Do we have to talk about the game? Do we have to talk about any of it? We do? All right. Yes, we do. Because man of the people, and the people want to hear about Mark Gronowski. If I had to talk about some pros, let's talk about some pros first. He did a really good job with his legs in this game. He kept plays alive. He used his legs as a running option, showed confidence in the pregame, but executed short throws pretty effectively. It was really an issue when they started throwing downfield a little bit more. Let's look at the chart here. 0 for 2 on throws 20 yards or more, and then he was 1, 4, 6, and then he was 3 for 6 on throws of 10 to 20 yards. Overall, throws of 10 or more yards, he was 3 of 8. It's not going to get it done in these situations. He threw the ball behind the line of scrimmage a little bit, but ultimately went 3 for 3 behind the line of scrimmage and got -4 yards. So, this was just a swarming Iowa State defense. I thought Iowa's defensive line could have performed better and their offensive line could have helped more, but you just couldn't do so in this game because Mark Gronowski was struggling to throw the ball down the field, and when you're struggling to throw the ball down the field, they're going to load up the box, and you can't run, and it gives you a harder time there. So, overall, I got to give Gronowski a D+. I'm sorry, Iowa fans. I do not want to do this. I want Mark Gronowski to be good. I genuinely do. But, yeah. And I got a video on Kirk Ferentz and his comments in the press conference and everything that really, really irked me, so I had to make a video on it. All right, Athan Kaliakmanis, he faced Miami of Ohio in this one. Miami of Ohio had just faced Wisconsin the week before, and now they're facing the good old Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Completed 26 of 36 passes for 259 yards and 4 touchdowns, plus 18 rushing yards. He threw a slant TD to Ian Strong over the middle to extend the lead to 31-17. I love these wide receivers for Rutgers. I'm still not completely sold on Athan Kaliakmanis, but he does a good job, and I think it's important for him to get the opportunity to be up there a little bit as too. So he did take some big hits early in the running game. Safeties were allowed to kind of make some big plays on him. I didn't necessarily love that Schiano was running him like that, or running him like that. You know what I mean? That he's getting out of the pocket and running more and stuff. But I also understand it's what you have to do. And I think Kaliakmanis is a big dude, so his body can take it. All right, let's go to. Oh, I didn't even. No, there it is. All right, Athan Kaliakmanis, the numbers, love him. Very high grade there. Didn't have any big time throws, but he did have 3 drops, so they're not gonna, give him as hard of a time there. And then he did have 3 sacks. So this is one of the things that I think you might have to be looking for as a Rutgers fan. Here is some of this stuff with pass pressure and stuff like that. Not saying the offensive line is bad. I actually like Rutgers' offensive line a lot, but Athan Kaliakmanis is just one of those dudes that can kind of let that happen sometimes. All right, let's get to who's next? Wisconsin. Wisconsin. Danny O'Neal, backup quarterback. Does he suck? Does he not good? Heck no. Danny O'Neal is a stud. All right, much better than the backup quarterback they had last year. He set a program record in his debut start. He was very efficient with his performance against the opponent. 23 completions on 27 attempts, 283 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Same boat as Julian Sayin. If he just hadn't made that play, he probably would be, maybe even higher than what he is. But Danny O'Neal, the interception, I do need to say, was not really his fault. Like, he threw the ball to the running back, but the center was there. The center kind of got pushed. I think it was the center. Kind of got pushed into him. So, I mean, it's kind of like a bang-bang play. But just drop it off if you find it, and we'll see. But overall, Danny O'Neal, good game. Loved what I saw from him, and I love that. They actually have a competent backup quarterback right now. So I'm going to give Danny O'Neal a B+ in this one. Not necessarily the best game in the world, but I'll give him a B+ in this one. Did have a big time throw, but he got sacked once, and his ADOT was only 5.5. And I don't love it if your ADOT is that low. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, ADOT is average depth of target. It's not. It does not include yard after the catch. So it's literally how many yards it is from where you were standing when you throw the ball to the guy down the field. And really, you want to be at least a 7. In this one, he was a 5.5. Really showed they were not confident he was not confident in throwing the ball down the field, which he should have been. He had a completion there of 20+ yards, 1 for 3 for 34 yards, and then he was pretty good over the middle too. So we'll see. I might be a little too low on Danny O'Neal here. Maybe I should switch that. Maybe I should give him an A-. I'll look into that. All right, Malik Washington. Let's go figure out Malik Washington, another true freshman quarterback starting in the Big Ten right now. He completed 19 of his 35 passes, had 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, delivered clutch 12-yard touchdown to Dorian Fleming on a rollout in the second quarter. He was pressured pretty often, leading to some happy feet and some errant passes, but he adapted better as the game progressed on. I was just telling Zach how the offensive line in certain areas for Maryland has been better this year. In other areas, it's not. They really have 3 guys who haven't given up a single pressure this season. They have 2 guys that have been giving up, 5. I think if that pressure is included today, probably 6 pressures on the season from just 2 guys on their offensive line. So, but I mean, still an improvement from some of the offensive lines we've seen under Maryland. But I loved the fact that they got Dorian Fleming more involved in this one. I did not think he was involved nearly enough, especially with a young quarterback, some of the safety blanket stuff. And, at times, Malik Washington was able to just dump the ball off to the tight end, and he was able to rumble down the field and, get some better field position for him. Maybe set up a field goal if nothing else works out. But, definitely moving the ball down the field. You love to see it. All right, let's go to Nico. And Nico is probably the most controversial quarterback in the Big Ten right now. So he passed for 255 yards and a touchdown, rushed for 59 yards and had a touchdown. He did move the ball into UNLV territory here and there. He moved it into there late at one point, but his offensive PFF grade is just so much higher than his passing one because of him doing stuff outside of just passing the ball. So he did throw a final drive interception to Amaris Brown, sealing the 30-23 loss. He struggled with the structure, leading to an 0-2 start for this UCLA team, and he struggled in the first half against this UNLV team as well. Credit to them; they went for the comeback. They almost had it, but just no dice at some point. It's just really, really difficult to make that happen. So, all right, how many more we got left here? We got Aidan Chiles, Preston Stone, and Ryan Brown. Let's do Aidan Chiles. Big win for Sparty over Boston College. Let's move on to see what we got here. I gave Aidan Chiles an A- in this one. He did a good job of responding when the other team hit them in the mouth. He threw for 231 yards, 4 touchdowns, and rushed for 39 yards and a touchdown as well. He ran for the game-tying touchdown in double overtime and hit Omari Kelly for the winning 2-point conversion, which was a good play and honestly a good throw. Not every quarterback can make that throw. He did stall a little bit in the second quarter, allowing the comeback, but they overcame that pretty early. They overcame, that I wouldn't say pretty early. They eventually overcame that at the end of the game and was able to get the win over Boston College. So gonna feel good about Aidan Chiles. Give him an A- in this one. All right, let's look at Preston Stone, Northwestern transfer quarterback. Preston Stone threw 4 interceptions last week. In week 1, what did he do this week? Well, good news for them. They were facing Western Illinois, and Stone combined for 21 of 29 passes for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. He connected with Hayden Elegon, I believe is how you pronounce it, Hunter Welsing, and Drew Wagner, all for scores. He recovered from his 4 interception performance the previous week. Didn't have really any major issues in this one, but it is Western Illinois. So I'm going to give him a B+ in this one. If he had more of a Julian Sayin type day, he probably would have had an A- at the very least. But considering the competition and stuff like that, we're gonna go with a B+ here for Preston Stone. And then finally, the Purdue quarterback, Ryan Brown, faced off against Southern Illinois, passed for 2 touchdowns and capitalized on the protection, threw a touchdown to Devin Mockbee after effective trap block play. Liked what I saw from Ryan Brown. I forgot to switch this over. I apologize. I like what I saw from Ryan Brown. They are much more willing to throw the ball down the field than I would have expected this Purdue team to be. Let's go to the pressure here. Yeah, he threw 4 balls of 20 yards or more, and then he threw 8 balls of 10 to 20 yards. So overall, he threw 12 passes of deep shots and kind of getting out of the house a little bit. So I like Ryan Brown. I like his leadership. I like his mobility. I do think he has some areas he needs to work on. Kind of when you get off the script, he seems to play down a little bit less. But for how much they're throwing the ball down the field, they should be having more explosive plays. Let's look at the ADOT, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the ADOT was 12.1 in this one. So they're throwing the ball out there. They're throwing the ball down the field. They're just not seemingly connecting enough, which is kind of struggling with his efficiency. And you got to remember, the expectations are sky high here because this is Southern Illinois that you're playing. Southern Illinois was in this game for pretty much all of it. Ryan Brown didn't get to move on or anything like that. So I'm going to give Ryan Brown a B- in this one. I know he had some drops and things like that, but I know he didn't take any sacks, but 13 of 22, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception against an FCS team. I think we can do better there. So, all right, that's what I got for the quarterback grades. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Check me and Zach out on Sunday nights and on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern time, and then me and Big Jeff picking the closest spreads in the Big Ten. Posted on Friday morning for the podcast, Friday morning on YouTube, or you can catch us live at 9 p.m. Thursday night with me and Jeff. All right, I appreciate it. Have a good one.